Welcome to the Scrum feed, where Paul Dalligan and I pull apart everything that's happening in the NRL. Paul, what can I say? How could there be a bigger story than Origin 3? But guess what? The NRL today announced the TV rights deal.
Yes, well, who would have thought it could be Australia's biggest code? We've been going on for quite some time about it. I won't get into all that because the AFL was yet to renegotiate their agreement, which was done some time ago. This isn't about any other code. This is about $5.3 billion, Professor, starting after the 27 season. We don't like to be pessimistic on this show, but the only minor concern I'd flag is that the vast majority of the games, as per the AFL, will be on Kayo, Foxtel, and the query is whether the cost of that subscription will rise to fund this. Nothing comes for free anymore, so that would be the worry, because effectively Kayo Foxtel would have people captive if they want to watch their rugby league, much like with the AFL.
Well, interesting you say that, Paul, because I did some homework on what Fox are currently paying under the current broadcasting agreement, $270 million a year. Now, if you think that's a lot, under the new deal, they'll be paying $520 million a year, so that's nearly a 100% increase.
I think what's happened is they've realised how many people have Kayo or Foxtel just for that product. I mean, in terms of the number of shows that are watched, it's an enormous percentage, completely dwarfs anything else on there, including AFL. So they're realising how important it is. It's good for me as a traditional fan and a traditionalist is that Channel 9 has maintained their rights, albeit only 3 NRL and NRLW games each week, which isn't many. But I do like their coverage, unlike some. It's always been the home of rugby league to me, Channel 9.
Good for Channel 9's business as well, because the share price rose on announcement of the deal. So the shareholders don't think that 3 games a week's too few, because their share price went up 1.3% on the news.
Well, there you go. Maybe it's people getting off that Elon Musk train or spaceship in his case, but it's not surprising. It's good for Channel 9. I don't know who else was seriously bidding, but it'd be hard for me to consider NRL anywhere else.
One good thing for the NRL, Paul, is that they've taken back control of the draws, because up until now the broadcasters have had a say in which games are played when. Well, now it's just up to the NRL when the games are played.
Yeah, well, that's good, and I think they'll get that right, and they'll adjust it as the games change. Again, I don't want to reference AFL, but I did have a look at 2 of the games on Sunday. I think the odds are about $1.01 or $1.02. So, I mean, Melbourne and Richmond and Brisbane and Essendon, I think whoever's doing the draw perhaps slipped up there. But with the NRL, I think they'd be pretty confident in getting it right. And there's not too many dud games, dare I say it, in the NRL.
And in a week of big stories for the NRL, Paul, it's not only the release of the TV rights deal, but Origin 3 on tomorrow night.
Well, I tell you, I'm excited. I don't think anyone gives us a chance, but I'll tell you right now, Professor, I give us a big chance, and I hate talking about teams on paper. Let's just talk about the players that are there. I'm very excited at the size they've gone for in Bostock on the wing. He's about a foot taller than Brian Toho. You've got Bradman Best and Crichton in the centres, 2 of my favourite players. Mark on the wing, Nwanga Nisewase, we'll have a go at that. Size and speed galore. And I don't think Queensland can play as well as they did in Game 2. I might regret those words, but they're almost perfect. And it is time for Nathan Cleary to rise on the big stage. And I don't think you get anyone from Queensland who's cocky about this Game 3. They've been very understated in their preparation and comments. It's like waiting for a volcano to not erupt. That's how good Cleary is. And everyone is aware that with that backline I've just rattled through, if Moses and Cleary click, New South Wales could win this game easily.
The thing that concerns me, Paul, is New South Wales might be taking a player in under an injury cloud. I know that Ethan Strange has been past fit to play, but he was in a moon boot last week.
Yeah, we never want to see the moon boot, but they've let Matt Burton go back to the Dogs. He's been in great form for the Dogs, so that's actually a good sign if they've let him go. I'm just really, really excited about this match. I think we've got the talent to do it, and I don't think the pressure's on New South Wales because everyone's written them off. Everyone I know expects Queensland to bolt in. So there's nothing more dangerous than a team with nothing to lose. Laurie Daly will be leaving. These Blues want to send him out as a good bloke. I'm not going to comment on his tactical skills, better or worse. They want to send him out a winner and get some pride back in this jersey.
X Factors, Paul. My opinion on the X Factors. Queensland, Sam Walker, Cameron Munster, and for New South Wales, Stephen Crichton and Mark Nawaqanitawase.
Wow, there's a new variant. Crichton's one of my favourite players, and you're seeing the way he's single-handedly reinvented the Dogs' attack, playing 6 of all places. having him in the centres, Bradman Best is an absolute beast, and Jack Bostock will be in blue for 10 years. So there's no way that Sam Walker and Munster can play better than game 2. I'll be stunned if they do, because that was 11 out of 10 performances from each of them. So I'm tipping New South Wales to win this on the basis that they simply cannot do that again, Queensland.
Tip on a final score?
26-18 in New South Wales. I think there'll be a few points in this game.
Round 1 completed in the NRLW, Paul. What did we learn? Well, I think there's the Broncos, there's the Roosters, and then there's everyone else.
Daylight, yes. I think as we predicted there, star-studded those two teams. It looks like they'll be taking it all the way to the grand final. So it was impressive performances by each of them.
First match of the round, Paul, Sharks 4, Knights 18. 2 sin bins, 1 each side. Sharks had too many mistakes. I watched the game. The Knights, new 5'8", Kira Dibb from the Cowboys, she certainly did well.
She did, and that's a surprise, but it looks like the Knights women are going as well as the men, who are now into the top 4. So big win for the Knights, disappointing for the Sharks.
Roosters flexed their muscles, 34 to the Titans 10, 7 tries to 2. As we said, the Roosters are going to be strong again. Titans, a lot of work to do though. They only had a 54% completion rate. I know the Roosters are strong, but let's face it, if you can only compete half your sets, you're not going to get too far in this game.
You won't, and it doesn't look like we're going to break the Gold Coast duck of sporting teams from all codes who failed to perform on the Gold Coast. The Roosters are rolling on.
Raiders 20 to the Dragons 4. The Dragons fullback Tegan Berry scored in the first minute. I thought, oh, here we go. My selection of the Dragons looks good. They didn't hit the scoreboard again.
That was it. They put the sword back in the sheath, and at least the Raiders have brought some joy to the fine rugby league community of Canberra, because the men certainly are. The moment.
Broncos held the bat up, Paul, 50 to the Cowboys 4, 10 tries to 1 if you don't mind. We mentioned last week Jesse Southwell, Brigginshaw and Upton. They're all on the scoreboard. How far will the Broncos go this season?
They could win it all, you'd have to think, and it, much like the Raiders, bringing some joy to the fans of the Broncos, unlike the other male teams. So that was a big win for them. The Broncos, they probably have to be the tip to win it all.
This next one was a tale of two halves, Paul. West Tigers 28, Eels 16. The West Tigers led 22-0 at half-time. Big second half by the Eels, but all too late.
It was entertaining football, as both these teams can put on, but all too much from the Tigers, and it left it too late, the Eels.
My selection of the Warriors at home to beat the Bulldogs was well-founded. 10-0 at half-time, and the Warriors built on that in the second half, 32-10 at the end of the game. Warriors centre Eminent Patty, a double. Bulldogs outgained by 500 metres.
Yeah, that's never good stats. And the passionate folk of Hamilton would have enjoyed that game a lot. So that was a good win for the Warriors. And they're flying in the men's and the women's. So great to see for rugby league.
Only 5 games in round 18 for the men, but the Panthers started off very well, 36 to your Rabbitohs 14. Looked like a game at half-time, 12-10, but it was all over in the second half.
Yes, and I am wisely, I think, threw out a guarantee on this one. So I'll have to stop doing those at Origin time. It's just too unpredictable. It's an incredibly hard week to tip. I think some tipsters got 0 from 5. That's how tough it was. So I think I scraped in with 2, but the Panthers just too strong, and it was very disappointing from the Rabbits. Way too good, the Panthers, even without their Origin contingent.
Another hat-trick for Thomas Jenkins. That makes 25 tries for the season. I'll say it again. Couldn't squeeze him anywhere into the Origin team.
No, well, that's a big surprise. It shows how much talent's there. I'm very surprised about that, but in some ways, the team I've got, I wouldn't leave any of them out the way he's playing, but he could be breaking records soon on his current trajectory.
And your Rabbitohs might have a Latrell, Siegwalt, but they really need Mitchell back.
Oh, they do, and that's what was missing, I think, and that was the consensus. They can't win the comp without Latrell, but he's out for a while yet. So they'll have to try and scrounge some wins somehow without him.
My smoky for the round, Paul, got up. The Dragons 24, the West Tigers 10. I think the red line through the West Tigers was right. It was a game at half-time, 6-4, but even with an Adam Dewey double, that wasn't enough.
That was a good tip, a good shout-out from you there, Professor. I thought the Tigers would win that. I thought they had a bit too much class, but all credit to the Dragons. We wait to see if they're going to appoint Dean Young as the coach. Got some improvement from this team, I think, with the players on the way next year, with the calibre of Kalamatangi from the Rabbits, Gutherson from the Eels, and most importantly, I think Drinkwater from the Cowboys. I think he deserves a shot at a better squad of players. So I'd be giving him the gig, Dean Young.
And another team with a red line appropriately through them, Paul, the Broncos, went down to the Sharks 28-16. If they weren't gone before this game, they're gone now.
They are, and I think I asked you to just hold the pen off, but you can certainly get it out and firmly put the line through them. They were disappointing. Sharks are very hard to predict, but the Broncos at home with a big crowd there, still 8 in a row. I think it is all credit to those fans turning up, but they deserve more than what they offered against the Sharks.
A good game from Nico Hines. Sione Katoa, a hat-trick.
That's right, and they're firming as a top 4 side, the Sharks. I think they've got a good draw in, so they're one to watch. I did predict that they'd do pretty well this year, but they're just too hard to pick at the moment. But the way they're clicking, it's good to see for the Cronulla residents.
Eels 23, Sea Eagles 14. Schooner didn't see this reverse coming.
No, not many did. It was a big win from the Eels, and they're starting to click under Jason Riles. Kieran Foran was pretty disappointed after the game, but he's learning what it's like to be an NRL coach. It's not all wins, unfortunately, for Kieran.
One of the more disappointing outings for the Sea Eagles since they appointed Kieran Foran. 65% set completion rate, 45 tackle breaks. No wonder they lost.
Well, that's it. And I think that's with coaches, it's more about the way they played than the result. That's what he would be most disappointed with. Whether it's they've been on a sugar rush or whatever you want to call it since he was appointed, but they've fallen back to earth with a thud. And they could slip out of the 8 if they're not careful with that sort of performance again.
And the one I tipped as the match of the round, Paul, certainly lived up to the billing. The Knights 13, the Dolphins 12. What a great game. It was hard to take the eyes away from the TV.
Yeah, I watched the end of this game, brilliant, and you don't need 40 points each scored to be a great quality game. It was a team of Dolphins who I think could go all the way this year up against some superstars in the Knights, and the multi-million-dollar man, Dylan Brown, certainly stood up when it counted and nailed, I think, his first field goal since he was about 16. So it shows that class can rise to the top.
Well, and the other thing, no Ponga, no worries.
Yes, that's most impressive. And also what I love about the Knights is there are a lot of local talent coming through. Majority of that, or at least half of that squad is locals, and that would be great for those fans, long-suffering fans, to see with the Knights who, as I said, are now into the top 4, if you can believe it.
Round 2 of NRLW kicks off Thursday night at 7:45pm, Paul, with a standalone game. The Sharks 8th against the Broncos, who are on top of the ladder at Shark Park. How far the Broncos with, as I said before, Upton, Brigginshaw and Southwell?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Sharks were terrible, and I don't think just being at home is going to help them. That Broncos team is like the Harlem Globetrotters. So they will run amok, and they could put up 50 again. You can't eject there at Shark Park.
Saturday at 12:45pm, the 12th place Cowboys play the 6th place Wests Tigers in Townsville. The Cowboys, this one's easier than the Broncos last week.
It is, but we'll really see what they're each made of. I just think the Cowboys at home in the humidity, but it's going to be an interesting game. Terrible last week, the Cowboys, but we'll see what they've got.
The West Tigers handled the Eels last week. I think the West Tigers will handle this one as well.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll agree to disagree on that one. First
of the double headers, Saturday at 3:15pm. The Bulldogs 10th against the Titans 11th at Acor. The Bulldogs travel back from New Zealand. You'd have to watch that one. I think they'll probably be a bit sore from playing there last week. I think the Titans will find this one easier than the Roosters last week.
Yeah, I think they will. And they got some star power there, the Titans. I'm tipping the Titans to get a win in this one.
5:15pm, Roosters, who are second against the Knights 5th at Allianz. Both had good wins, so a good test for both sides. I'm thinking the Roosters might be too strong at home.
Yeah, I think, as you said earlier, everything's pointing towards a Roosters-Broncos grand final. So I'm tipping the Roosters. I'm with you on that one as well.
Sunday, kick-off at midday. The Raiders 4th against the Warriors 3rd. Possibly the match of the round at GIO Stadium. Warriors might have a bit too much firepower for the Raiders, I would have thought.
I think so, but let's hope that the Raiders could maybe go on a run for those rugby league fanatics in Canberra because, as I said, the men's team have really let them down this year. I'll go with the Raiders. Sorry to disagree with you again, Professor.
And the 1:45pm game on Sunday down at Wynn Stadium in Wollongong, the Dragons 9th against the Eels 7th. I think the Eels have the stronger list, scored 16 against the Wests Tigers, which isn't a bad scoreline. I think they might be too strong for the Dragons.
Yeah, I think so as well. There's just some issues there at the Dragons. I think the Eels will get that win.
NRL Round 19, Paul, Friday at 8pm. The West Tigers 12th against the second-placed Warriors, who are coming off the bye. It's going to be played at Campbelltown. A very disappointing West Tigers, probably the second most disappointing team behind the Broncos.
They are, and they've had injuries galore, but all teams get injuries. I think the Warriors have had the second most injuries after the Tigers, but look where they're placed on the ladder in second spot. So, I mean, I think Coruscant's the big loss for the Tigers, even though Luai's back. I'm tipping the Warriors to continue their fine form. Harris Tavita and Tamari Martin have been fantastic, 6 and 7 for the Warriors. So I'm tipping them to win this one.
Big try scorer, Wateen Zalesniak out, but I don't think that's going to make much of a difference.
No, there's another hyphen to replace him there. So I think we're down to 6 starting hyphens, I think, and a couple on the bench as well. So, no, they'll be fine, the Warriors. Plenty of depth there. Great team.
Super Saturday starts at 3 p.m, Paul. The Dolphins 5th against the Sharks 6th. Could almost be the match of the round. Depends on how the Origin participants in both teams pull up.
Yeah, well, that's it. And I'm actually tipping the Sharks unless all of the Origin players return. So given how much of a contingent they've got, the Sharks just don't have that level of participation in Origin. So I'm actually tipping the Sharks to win this.
The middle game, 5:30 p.m. My Bulldogs 10th playing the Raiders 13th at Acor. The Bulldogs coming off the bye. This is an important one for the Bulldogs to win if they're going to stay in touch with the top 8, Paul. They've won 3 in a row. Raiders 6 points behind the number 8 team. They're finished, I think, even if they do win.
They are. And a lot of it will turn on whether the Origin players come back. But with Matt Burton able to be playing in the centres, one of the better players in the game, and Crichton and Galvin 6 and 7, I think they're just going to be too strong. There is some firepower in the Raiders, but it's starting to sink in. They're not going to make the finals. I've got your Dogs winning this one.
And the nightcap game on Saturday at 7:35 p.m. The Roosters 3rd coming off the bye against the Eels 14th at Allianz. Roosters too strong for mine, Paul. Their form's been very good, and I don't think they'll let this one slip against the Eels.
No, I think they're rising the Roosters into 3rd place, and they should have too much class for the Eels, subject to the Origin returns, of course, one of which being Mitchell Moses. So I still think even if he returns fit and healthy from Origin, he'll still be a bit tired, and the Roosters too much talent and quality at home.
Not only a Super Saturday this weekend, Paul, but we've also got a Super Sunday with 3 games. The first one at 2 p.m, your Rabbitohs 8th, playing the Knights 4th. I know you've got Alex Johnston with 19 tries for the season, but the firepower for the Knights. Greg Marju with 15 tries, Dominic Young 14 tries. Not a bad win combination.
No, it isn't. And the way the Knights ground up that win last week, they'll be confident. I wouldn't tip the Rabbits with any great confidence, but one of our favourites, Matt Duffy, back in at fullback, our favourite running man. Dane Jennings was also very impressive. Taylor Stamford's been great as well. Rabbits stack up well, but I think the Knights might just have a touch too much firepower, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's a pivotal game for both teams, Paul. The Knights win, they cement their top 4 credentials. The Rabbitohs lose, they could miss the 8.
So that's the thing. I think they'll be fired up, but I just worry about how much firepower is at that Knights team.
Schooner will be around the TV at 4:05 p.m, Paul. The Sea Eagles 7th playing the Cowboys 9th, who are coming off the bye at Brookvale. Tom Dearden's back for the Cowboys, playing against the triple-headed Trebojevic clan. Who'll win this one and why?
I think Manly will bounce back after the ear bashing from Kieran Foran. He won't have been impressed with that performance. I just think they'll be too good at home, the Manly squad. But the Cowboys also playing to make it into the 8. So it's a big match, but I think Manly just have a bit too much class.
And the final game in a packed NRLW and NRL round, Paul. 6:15 p.m, the last game. Storm coming off the bye, they're 11th. Titans 15th coming off the bye, also at Amy Park. The Storm 8 into the team. The most important, of course, Jerome Hughes.
Yeah, I was about to say that's a massive in for the Storm. They're starting to find some form, and I think they'll just be too strong at home for the Titans. They can surprise the Titans, but I just can't see it happening, particularly with a couple of State of Origin representatives. I just think the Storm will be too strong at home. They're starting to find some form. I did say a while back I thought they'd make the 8, and it's games like this that'll be pivotal for the Storm sneaking into the 8, which I think they'll just do.
Well, it's a must-win, isn't it, Paul?
It is. They're all must-win from here for the Storm. I think they'll just have a touch too much class at home.
So if you wanted the NRLW and NRL to offer you value, Paul, how about this? We've got a State of Origin, 6 NRLW games and 7 NRL matches. So you got 14 matches. A smorgasbord, 14 matches between Wednesday and next Sunday. So I'll tell you what, I won't be doing much else except watching rugby league.
Now, there's plenty on, and it's a great time of year as well because there's so much at stake. So it's a really great time for the game, and the TV rights deal show how well the game is going. In rude health, dare I say it, the NRL, Professor.
Well, with such a big weekend, Paul, that's all for the Scrum feed for this week. So until next week.
You keep feeding that Scrum, Professor.